Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Govberg, and thanks for logging on. Today, we are looking at an exceptional piece. This is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Compressor Extreme Lab 2, one of only 300 made in a combination of titanium and ceramic. You can see this grand complication on our website, govbergwatches.com. Subscribe to our channel if you enjoy these videos, and if you want even more luxury watch media, please download our app, Govberg On Time, for the latest news, views, reviews, and of course videos of luxury watches. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, this oversized watch is a surprisingly compatible partner for, well, let's face it, extreme activities. Now it is 53 millimeters from lug to lug, which is remarkably compact considering the watch itself is 47 millimeters across the round of the case, and believe me, there aren't too many round facets of this case, so it's actually a bit larger than that, and it is approximately 17 millimeters thick. But like I said, this is a watch that wears compact, and it comes down to lightweight titanium and ceramic components. Now normally I go in depth concerning wrist fit, ergonomics, but before I go into that customary discussion of fit and feel, I really believe I have to unpack all of the features of this watch because, quite frankly, that is what distinguishes the Master Compressor Extreme Lab 2. So let's consider this is a chronograph with digital jumping minutes recorded at 12 o'clock. It is a dual time with a stub second time zone hand. You can see it with the red center line just under my thumb. It has an AM/PM 24-hour dial at 6 o'clock. The watch has a radial 65-hour power reserve, and you can see as I wind the watch with the crown in the neutral position how the power reserve transitions from red to white, and that white band actually arcs across the top of the dial as I energize the watch. It is automatic winding, but this is just so much more dynamic and satisfying to watch that power reserve transform. And of course it backs out again as the watch discharges. Now in addition, it has a unique function selector crown. Now you can see the function selector framed within this red anodized bridge within, and you can see I can select GMT, which allows me to set the hour backwards or forwards independent of the reference time zone, again just underneath the counterweight of the seconds hand. I can cycle again. Now I can set all indications in sync. I cycle again, and now the crown is in the neutral setting position where I can wind it. Now the key thing to remember here is that the watch actually has two column wheels, one for the actuation of the chronograph and one for the selection of the multifunction crown. Naturally, there is a jump date adjacent. The watch has a chronograph with a vertical clutch for smooth engagement of the seconds hand, but also continuous engagement if you prefer to have continuous seconds at center rather than on the minute inner constant seconds indicator of the subdial. You can see it just moving into view here. So you can just run the chronograph continuously with no hazard to the movement. That's the benefit of a vertical clutch. Now it has a column wheel function selector, as I mentioned before, and while the crown's column wheel function selector is not visible on this 569 piece caliber 780, you can see the column wheel just under my thumb cycling as I cycle the chronograph. This watch is a feast in every sense, aesthetic, ergonomic, and of course, for those who love engineering, it doesn't get any better than this. Now, I continue running the chronograph, and you can see the double digital minutes register at 12 o'clock. Every minute on the minute, it jumps with the passing of the chronograph seconds hand in beautiful synchronized fashion. Now the dial is completely open worked, so in addition to having two time zones, the multifunction crown, the radial power reserve, the chronograph, and of course twin column wheels to select between all of those functions. It also has a unique hacking system because the watch achieves 100-meter water resistance without a screw-down crown. So without the ability to pull the crown out, it only pushes in as a function selector. There has to be a secondary function to allow hacking or stoppage of the balance for precise synchronization. And that's what this hacking lever on the flank of the watch achieves. When you pull the hacking lever, which looks a little bit like a minute repeater slide, it stops the balance, allowing you to precisely synchronize the watch to a known accurate reference time. Now, the watch has a lot more than that. It also has a remarkable anti-shock chassis built into the case that isolates the movement, and then within the movement itself, you can see the balance peeking out from beneath its balance bridge beneath my thumb. It actually has something much like Ball's spring lock protection system to keep the hairspring from jumping out of its position and to keep it relatively centered even through extraordinarily rough activity, which also allows, in addition to preventing damage, increased chronometric performance during those activities. Is there more? You better believe there's more, because now we get back into that ergonomic equation that I mentioned earlier. Titanium and ceramic are both lighter than steel, so this watch, in spite of its immense physical area on the wrist, actually wears quite light. And here's where it really triumphs. You can see that the lugs do abut the flanks of the case. Now, normally this means a lot of virtual flair. It means a watch that wants to fight the curvature of your wrist. It means that you have aesthetic coherence in the flow from strap to case, but small wrists are almost forbidden from even approaching a timepiece of this size when the strap wants to flare and is rigidly fixed to the side of the case. Here, we have ratcheting lugs. Yes, for real, folks, ratcheting lugs. And they have multiple positions to suit the curvature of any wrist. I wore this watch a little bit just to see if it really could fit a smaller wrist like mine, 16 centimeters. Not only does it, but I'm convinced that if you go down to 15 centimeters, you're still going to wear this watch comfortably. And not only is it a remarkable interaction between lug and strap, but the strap itself, featuring not one but two leathers individually stitched together, is a remarkable piece. Now, it has rubber for aggression against the skin in the best possible way, keeping the watch planted on a small wrist while also allowing relief of sweat, grit, and moisture. You can see everything on this watch is not just designed but engineered. Look at the strap minder, bolted in place, so you can fix it to whatever position you prefer, but once in place, it stays. You can see the pin buckle, an Ardion system that actually allows you to move the double pin within the buckle itself, and you can see how there is a special device located on each flank that allows you to select long and short settings individually. To buy this pin buckle by itself is a four-figure fee from JLC, and it has been speculated that this watch was designed as a showpiece for the manufacturer that made no money, simply technological bragging rights. And it's easy to believe, because while first shown in 2010 at SIHH, the watch wasn't actually available for sale until 2014, and when it takes Jaeger-LeCoultre 4 years to develop a watch, you know you're talking about hardcore hardware. And indeed, that's what you get with the Caliber 780. It has 569 parts, and it pivots on 70 joules. Unidirectional winding, automatic with a 65-hour power reserve. It does have unlubricated high-efficiency ceramic rotor bearings. As we saw earlier, it does hack, the date does have a quick set, and you can see the balance buried within this jungle of machinery, but it's beautifully ruthenium coated. Now, the watch does pass the same master 1000 hours control as all other Jaeger-LeCoultre products save the 101 micro caliber, so it has that same degree of chronometric accuracy. In addition to toughness, this is a watch that really does offer it all. This is a movement that really does offer it all. I've seen tourbillon watches with fewer than 200 pieces, so simply having a grand complication doesn't necessarily make a watch grander than this. And as if that weren't all, or weren't enough, it does have quick release lugs. You pull both of these tabs and you release the strap from its anchoring. At this point, you can put on the accessory rubber strap that's included with the watch and take full advantage of the 100-meter or roughly 330-foot water resistance. Do you want a timepiece that has it all? Well, that may not exist, but this is the next best thing. Originally launched as the tribute to geophysics, it is, in a real sense, a better representative of the spirit of the 1950s original than today's JLC Tribute watch, because the 50s original was ambitious. It combined all of the technology and the current know-how of the manufacturer into a single awe-inspiring reference. Today's Tribute to Geophysics is a handsome watch, but perhaps it's not as ambitious in its technological intent as the original. The Master Compressor Extreme Lab 2 absolutely is. You can see it, and you can buy it on our website, govbergwatches.com.